This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, guys, welcome to the WWE Podcast. It is Friday, June 6th, 2025, as we roll into Money in the Bank that comes to us tomorrow night. An event that I know a lot of us look forward to every single year. It's not quite at the level of, say, the Royal Rumble, but it is an event that a lot of people look to and build their year around for the upcoming year regarding who could cash in and when and what the plan is. And it's fun. It's a fun event, no doubt about it. I just hope they don't try to make this one 2 nights as well with, the men and women in one night. And I just hope they don't do that. The 2-night PLE should be exclusive to WrestleMania, but that seems to be not the plan, as WWE this year is doing SummerSlam for 2 nights. So a couple PLEs to get through before then. We have a women's only PLE. We have a Saturday night main event thrown in there. We even have, I believe, a Saudi event, those beloved Saudi events in between now and then as well. So we've got a lot of wrestling to get to, but before we do that, I want to invite you guys to check out another show that I do. If you're interested, be forewarned. It is about politics and culture. Okay, so if you don't care about that, don't want to hear about it, well, that's not the place for you. But it's called The War on Truth. You can search it on any podcast app that you can find. We are the logo with the American flag and the computer that's right there. So there's one other show that's the name, but we are that logo, and I just uploaded an episode a few days ago. So check it out. It's called The War on Truth. All right. Also, if you guys want to join us on Patreon and go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE Podcast. If you want to go ad-free for a week for free, you can do that. You can also head on over to Apple and go ad-free, or on Spotify. So let's get to it, man. Let's get to, actually, let me get to a couple of emails. This is a bit of a quasi kind of a mailbag / preview and prediction show for Money in the Bank. So let's get to Dennis. It's been a while, Dennis. He says, Matt, I can't believe WWE released R-Truth. I don't know if it was their choice or Truth's choice, but it's a bit of a shock anyway, especially when he was being used in the past month, challenging Cena on Saturday night's main event. I'm a big fan of Truth, but who isn't? My predictions for Money in the Bank are Rollins and Julia, but it could change before the event on Saturday. Thanks. Yeah, I know everybody seems to be just so shell-shocked by R-Truth being released. And to me, it's not that big of a shock. I mean, he's been there a long time, yes, but I stand by what I said earlier in the week. Nobody's got a lifetime guaranteed contract. How much longer do they think they can get out of R-Truth? And it seems like they're trying to make cuts right now. You're going to cut those assets that you don't think are going to bring in more than you're paying them. I understand that sounds cold and callous. It's business, man. It's business. Things that don't serve you any longer, that you feel is more of a drain, you should cut out, personally and professionally. It's just generally good advice. And sometimes those cuts come in the form of people losing their jobs. And R-Truth has been fortunate enough to be with the company as long as he has. Do I think they should have actually made him a champion? Yes, I do. He deserved to be champion for at least a short period. They never, unfortunately, put him there, but there's no better way for him to go out than the way he did. Main eventing Saturday night against one of the biggest stars professional wrestling has ever produced. Yes, in a losing effort. Yes, it was only 8 or 9 minutes long. But still, it's better than him just kind of fading off into the sunset with really no fanfare. It's the best way for people to remember him. And he's talented enough. He'll get another opportunity to wrestle again. Not full time. He won't be the face of any company. But you don't think he's going to show up somewhere in pro wrestling again? Of course he is. I'm not worried about him from a financial standpoint. As long as he was smart with his money, that's his decisions. But I think R-Truth's going to be just fine. And how long was everyone expecting R-Truth to be in WWE? Forever? Just because? So honestly, I understand why people are outraged, but you didn't see these same people asking for R-Truth to be champion or be more a part of the show. They were just kind of entertained every time he was on screen, but there wasn't an uprising for him to just suddenly get pushed to the top. They were only outraged when the WWE is like, okay, we've kind of got everything we can out of you. Sorry, see you later. And then everyone got outraged, which people are going to move on quick. That's because it's what they do. So, and word has it on the street that WWE, TKO, is $5 billion in debt. I don't know how true that is. We've seen various reports out there. That's why they're changing WrestleMania locations and charging enormous amounts of money for tickets for their PLEs, which are just exuberant and absurd. I'm not talking about secondhand sales. I'm not talking about eBay or StubHub. I'm talking about firsthand, directly from Ticketmaster. Some of the ticket prices are just insane. And I've said it to everybody, if you don't like it, the best way to push back, don't buy them. That's the biggest way to kick back at WWE and TKO for this type of just exorbitant ticket prices. It's to simply not buy them. So if we do, they're going to continue to gouge us. So that said, there is also a general belief right now that WWE is on a downslide, and they are. They definitely are from a creative standpoint, especially. But I will say, that's how wrestling goes. Even during the Attitude Era, as good as it was and as hot as it was, there were times, and you don't think that now because everybody looks at from 97 to 2004 as like the golden era. There was never a bad week, never a bad month or year. Oh no, I guarantee if you lived in those moments and you watched them in real time, you felt like the creative was slumping, or you probably felt the same way you do now. You just don't think you did because it's 20 years ago, and you just categorize those 6 years into, just everything was bliss all the time. And it wasn't. I'm guilty of it too. I still think it was the best era of wrestling, but there were bad months, even a bad few months, up to 6 to 12 months. I bet you we could find between 97 and 04 a time where it was just kind of a slump. I bet you we can. I don't know off the top of my head, but I bet you we can find a significant period of time in which it was kind of lame. So that's, I think, what we're going through here. I'm not saying we're in the Attitude Era. I'm not saying wrestling is as good as it was back in 20 years ago. It's not. It'll never return to that form or presentation, unfortunately. We're in the TKO version of, I don't care what the presentation is. We're just going to make as much money as we can by throwing ads on the canvas and throwing ads on the apron and throwing ads in your face all the time. And all these things that are just, I hate it, but I understand why they do it. I understand wrestling's never going to go back to that. They're not going to ever do that. And that's okay. I've accepted that as a fan. But my point is, wrestling can't be hot all the time like it was WrestleMania 40 and a little bit after that. It's not going to be. It can't be. It's not sustainable. It's not fair to also have that expectation of WWE to always expect that they're going to be on fire all the time with the biggest stars. It's not the nature of wrestling. It's not the nature of any business. Anywhere. Name a single business or entertainment venue or any kind of for-profit organization that is constantly having new heights, reaching new heights, always on fire. It doesn't happen. It can't happen. It can't. So I'm giving WWE a little bit of a pass right now for creative kind of being lame. There's not a lot of star power right now. There's talk about WWE in debt for billions of dollars. Talk of a rift between Triple H and Dwayne. Vince trying to buy the company back, and creative obviously slumping, and we're hearing all of this. And I don't know. I'm sure there's nuggets of truth in all of that, if not all truth. We're not in the company, so it's sometimes difficult to know. But my point is, wrestling goes in cycles, just like every other business that has ever existed, ever. So right now we're in a bit of a slump. That's it. It's in a bit of a slump, and you're going to see cuts like R-Truth. I know they're also, trying to restructure Roman Reigns' contract reportedly, who they feel has been exorbitantly overpaid for his part-time schedule. If I was Roman, I'd tell him to F off. I'm backing Roman Reigns on this 100%. I understand he's part-time. As a fan, it's annoying, yeah. But put yourself in that man's shoes. You earned that contract. The company signed on the dotted line. You did too. That means they have to uphold their end. Maybe restructuring perhaps means that they front load or back load some of the payments, meaning like what they do in the NFL. You're still going to get your $20 million, but we're going to give you $2 million, $2 million, $2 million, and then we're going to give you $14 million. You know what I mean? At the end of at the third year, so that way they kind of kick the can down the road, and they don't have to structure it where they're eating up more money in the short term. But you're still going to get it overall. So maybe that's what they mean by restructuring, perhaps not renegotiating. So if that's the case, I still would tell WWE if I were Roman, F off. Even if they were trying to renegotiate with me, or rather even just restructure, I would give him the middle finger. I'd be like, this sounds like a you problem. You know, I earned this money, and he has every right to tell them to screw off. And I hope he does, because he earned that. I really hope that if it's possible, I don't know how it's written in their agreements about restructuring, not renegotiating, but restructuring it, what the power is that the individual holds versus what the organization does or can do without their consent. So if Roman does have the power to veto the restructuring, I would hope that he exercises that, because he's owed that money. And if the contract was originally written as, again, I'm coming up with just a crazy, out of nowhere number, $21 million over 3 years. If he was owed $7 million a year, I would say I want my $7 million per year. And if they're like, well, would you mind taking 3 this year, 3 next year, and then $14 million in the third year? I would say, nope. I want my money now, as originally agreed upon. And I hope he does that. So if that's true, then they're in dire straits here. Dire straits is a little extreme. I would say that they are very money focused right now, in a way that kind of sacrifices a lot of other intangibles in terms of the business model, like fans' perspective of what's going on. Some of the fans even longing for the days of Vince McMahon, because it seems like TKO is not a fan of wrestling. They're a fan of just money. And look, I'll be the first to admit that organizations exist for the purpose of making money, or they don't exist at all. But you have to have a love for what you do, or at least a love of what you're doing for the money, or the motive of simply making money will override your love for the task or the labor that you're giving for that money. And right now it looks like TKO, from the visuals, if you're stepping back and looking at this, you're like, hey, TKO clearly is just about the money, and they don't give a damn about wrestling. And there's probably some people on the board that just hate professional wrestling. You know that there are some people on the board that if you say the word pro wrestling in front of them, they cringe. We're not a wrestling company. We're not a professional wrestling company, just like Vince outlawed the words pro wrestling, right? And then it was brought back after Vince left, but people were now, the ban on the word pro wrestling, or the phrase pro wrestling, has been lifted. That to me is almost a guarantee that you have people on the board that just look at WWE as lesser than, even though they're a profitable organization. TKO probably still has a lowbrow view. If you put truth serum in some of those executives about what they are, what WWE is. All right. Well, I went off the rails a lot there, but let's continue. And let's go to Tom. He says, first, I don't think Seth will win the Money in the Bank. I just feel like this is a setup perfect for Roman to return and align with Punk and to cost Seth Money in the Bank. I think the winner will either be Knight or El Grande. El Grande winning will probably mean the briefcase being used on a mid-card belt, though. I hope not. I'm not offended by El Grande Americano. I know a lot of people pretend to be. I'm not. I could care less. But his character is losing steam. It has seemingly run its course. So El Grande Americano, while I understand they picked up the AAA promotion and all that, it feels like it has kind of run its course. The crowd reaction's not as big. Just that general feel about seeing his character and the storylines he's involved in. Having Grande win it feels like it would come out of nowhere. And also, if anyone cashes in on a lesser belt, why? I know Austin Theory did it because, why would I cash in on Brock? I'm just going to lose. Okay, but still, you have a chance. And you get to pick the spot. So if anybody's choosing a championship other than the top one, I mean, I guess that'd be a nice, cute swerve, but then you look at it and go, yeah, I didn't expect that. But also, why again? Why? Yeah, so second, I was at SmackDown last week and Cody was trying desperately to get the energy up for him and it just wasn't there. This version of Cody has run its course and many fans are turning on him. I would love to see a double turn at SummerSlam with Cena, whose heel turn is showing cracks, turning back face, and Cody maybe taking the title back from him with a heel turn. I thought it was interesting that it was thrown out there last week. The Rock's offer for Cody was still on the table. I feel like that's maybe a hint that a potential turn could come. Maybe Rock finally does return at SummerSlam and helps Cody and costs Cena. Which leads me to my next point. If WWE wants to turn Cody heel, they should be able to turn him. Why does Cody have to have the final say in it? If it's best for business, they should pull the trigger on it. Well, that's it. I mean, that's it. It really is that simple. It really is. I don't mind talent having the ability to weigh in on their creative, especially if you're a top talent. You've earned that right. But you also shouldn't have the final say. You should have a significant say, but not the majority of it. Your opinion should matter, but it's not the ultimate one. It's not the final word. So I would agree. I mean, the support for Cody, I don't hear any boos like I did prior to WrestleMania and even at WrestleMania. I really don't. I'll have to listen a little more closely. It was covered very well then by the audio team production at last week's show, because I didn't get the sense that there was a lot of drop in support for him last week. But if that's the movement, hey, keep it going. I'm all for a Cody heel turn. I've been advocating for it for years. And apparently The Rock did want to turn Cody and Triple H nixed it along with Cody. So he was, outnumbered there. But I think a Cody heel turn is absolutely the right move at some point. And are we reaching the end of his babyface run? We could be. John Cena's heel turn, I have to say, if I was going to grade it up to this far, I'd give it a C-. It has not been what I hoped it could be. I still agree with the decision, despite the fact that I feel like it's been subpar. I agree with the John Cena decision because if we were still sitting here going, oh, well, it's cool to see John Cena as a retro act. He's still playing the babyface. It's fun. But we'd be saying to ourselves, man, but wouldn't that be, what if he turned heel, man? That sucks. We never got to see a heel John Cena and what that looks like. So given the two options, knowing how the heel turn would turn out right now, I would still vote for the heel turn because living with the what if of what a Cena heel turn would look like would be worse than living in a heel turn that didn't really work out, I think. I still would choose this 100 out of 100 times. And we still don't have the full story yet. We don't know the rest of his run, which we're about halfway through now. Yes, we are halfway through the John Cena heel, or rather his final year, halfway through. Yeah. So, but as far as The Rock returning at SummerSlam, I'm done. If The Rock returns at SummerSlam, just pretending that for a moment, I mean, fine. I do wonder what reaction The Rock would get. I do wonder if the crowd would just totally torch him, or if they would be just so excited that they're there to see The Rock. I think initially there'd be cheers, and then they quickly realize, oh yeah, this guy is, he bailed on us for WrestleMania, and then didn't apologize for it and doubled down on it, and oh yeah, screw you. I mean, that's all there is to it. I think the crowd would initially embrace it because they're excited that they are in person to see The Rock, which most people don't get to see these days. But then it would turn fairly quickly to, oh yeah, F you, dude. At least that's my hope. But I don't think The Rock's going to return at SummerSlam. If he does, then, great. I mean, sure. But here's what I don't want to happen. if The Rock comes back at SummerSlam, if we're playing out your scenario, he needs to either shit or get off the pot. I mean, you got to either commit for a little while or you don't. You can't pop in and out of these storylines and then talk about how it's not about you when you were the catalyst, by the way, for the biggest heel turn in the company's history. Arguably. I mean, there's Hogan that happened. Well, in the company, it was at WCW, but Austin turned heel. That I would argue is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, but this is certainly up there with John Cena turning heel. So The Rock's the catalyst, the whole selling your soul thing. He pops in and then, he's like, bye. See ya. I don't want it to be about me. We'll leave the whole thing open-ended. What? Right? And I've hammered this enough. I won't go into it again. But if The Rock comes back, you got to just either commit or not, man. Like, either you're here for a few months to tell the rest of the story and then you leave when it makes sense, or just don't come back at all, ever. I don't want to hear this stuff of, we're trying to tell a story in a different way. And there's no need to try to reinvent storytelling. We all know what makes a good and bad story. So if The Rock comes back and then leaves after SummerSlam, like he's there for, pretend he does his return at SummerSlam and then he's gone again for 2 months, like he did at Bad Blood. Remember, he returned at Bad Blood, and then we didn't see him again until the first Raw on Netflix, which, again, was just horrible. Horrible. Maybe the worst Rock appearance of all time. No explanation as to why he was at Raw, the Bad Blood. The Raw on Netflix was a disaster from a character perspective and storyline perspective. Absolute disaster. Up until the point of Elimination Chamber, when we got The Rock being the catalyst for the John Cena heel turn, which shocked the industry. And since then, it's kind of fell flat, to be honest. I think most of us would agree. It hasn't been a total disaster, but it's been flat. So either The Rock comes back and has a several month story that he doesn't even have to wrestle a match, but he can talk. He can still hit a rock bottom. He could, do minimal physicality while still being there, at least on a semi-regular basis, like maybe twice a month. Like that to me would be a regular Rock appearance. If he's there 2 times in 30 days, that would be a regular appearance by Rock standards. But I don't want him there with no explanation or just no follow-up after SummerSlam. They can't do that again. Thanks, John. All right. DJ. He says, this seems like deja vu because WWE recently had a live streaming event in Saturday night's main event a week ago. And now this Saturday, there are going to be 2 PLEs in Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank. Just a quick hot take. WWE is hosting too many PLEs and live streaming events for the entire summer so far, with 3 this month. Worlds Collide, Money in the Bank, and Night of Champions. That's the other one. Thank you, DJ. 3 next month. Great American Bash, Saturday Night Main Event, and Evolution. Yeah, that's right. And 3 in August, SummerSlam Night 1, Night 2, and Clash in Paris. DJ, now that I hear all of those, let's between now and the middle of August, there are going to be, ready for this? 9 PLEs. If you count Saturday Night Main Event as a PLE, and I guess I would. 9. That's impossible. Now, SummerSlam, yeah, it's 2 nights, so you're counting that as 2 instead of 1. But number of nights that there are PLEs, 9. In a regular pro wrestling world, there would only be 1 to 3 tops between now and SummerSlam. In a normal world, they're tripling that. And that's also a lot of the reason why people are talking about how TKO is going broke and they're in a lot of debt, and that's why they're running PLEs. There is some evidence for that. It's too much. Totally agree. It's too much. I don't want this many. I know that even the most hardcore wrestling fans are like, man, really? Another one? Because you know what you do when there's more of something? What does it do? It makes the value of that thing decrease. Every time. It's just science. So, all right. So your predictions. The women's Money in the Bank ladder match You're thinking that Naomi's going to win. She's been one of the best this year since the heel turn. I would agree with that. The majority of the fans are supporting it. Yes, Naomi's been awesome. Naomi is in a good position to possibly cash in her contract on the next episode of SmackDown, or maybe show up on Raw and cash in her contract on EO, since the brand rules don't really apply. My dark horse pick to win is Stephanie McCool. Okay? The women's Intercontinental title match, Becky versus Lyra. Becky is going to win. Lyra has been champion for 142 days, and this feud has overachieved, in my opinion, for a mid-card title, especially for Lyra, who has gotten multiple opportunities to speak on the mic. However, since this is a last chance stipulation for Becky to challenge Lyra, you predict Becky's going to win. Two more here. John and Logan Paul, John Cena, versus Rhodes and Jey Uso. You predict that Cody and Jey are going to win, but the question is, will this match be the main event? Because the placement of the match will play a critical role in a potential cash-in from the winner of the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. All signs are pointing to Jey dropping his championship after this tag team match, if it is the main event. I think it is. I think they've labeled that as the main event. I would agree the timing of this is critical as to what the story could be. The men's Money in the Bank ladder match. You're thinking Seth is going to win, most likely because of the help from Bronson and Breakker. But hold up, what about CM Punk getting involved and screwing Seth's chances of winning? That's another variable that could play a factor in this match that could possibly be the semi-main event. And then Seth could cash in his contract on Jey after the tag team match because of the numbers game that are in Seth's favor. My dark horse pick to win is LA Knight. Hopefully, with only 4 matches on the card, this should be it. And on tonight's SmackDown, there will be no 5th match. DJ Kuzmo signing off. Have a great weekend. Enjoy both Worlds Collide Money in the Bank. I might be in the Discord chat during Money in the Bank. If for some reason I can't, I'll just watch the replay. Thank you, DJ. And I will get to my predictions as well. But first, let's get to your Joe Hendry report, and then I'll give my predictions for Money in the Bank.
This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag Show. Record you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name, as I take you to my 47th episode of the George Report. And like always, coming to you live from an undisclosed location. This will be a very abbreviated episode for you today, folks, as it has been very quiet in the world of Joe Hendry after when he lost his TNA World Championship to Trick Williams from NXT Battleground. I guess you could say this is a time of reflection and a time for a new direction for Joe Hendry. But before we get there, he made an appearance on social media in regards to his collaboration with PUBG Mobile and thanking the fans for believing in him and putting him in this position to be a part of one of the biggest video games throughout the world. Now it has been announced that Joe Hendry will make an appearance on the next episode of TNA Pro Wrestling as he addresses the TNA universe in regards to what's next. We also get another announcement that this coming Friday, live from Tempe, Arizona, Joe Hendry will make his in-ring return in a match against the self-proclaimed king of TNA, Mr. Frankie Kazarian, at TNA Against All Odds. Always remember to believe, say his name, always remember the words that Joe Hendry says, anytime, any place, at any show, and most importantly, always remember to do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe and peace.
DJ, thank you, my friend, for the update on what is going on with Mr. Joe Hendry. I would encourage everybody to check out the match with Frankie Kazarian. I may even do so myself, or at least the highlights of it. I know normally I don't, and that's why DJ's here to keep us all on track of what is going on with him. And we will be anxiously awaiting your report next week for the results. And, of course, as we all know, awaiting his main arrival on the main roster that we all know is coming. It's just a matter of when. So, thank you, DJ. Thank you for that. And if you guys want to join DJ and everyone else in the Discord chat this coming Saturday night, tomorrow night, patreon.com/WWE podcast is the place to go for all of your ad-free content, along with a bunch of other stuff for free. Exclusive shows as well if you go into the NXT Plus and above. All right. Let's get into my predictions. I think that's it in terms of the actual mailbag portion. So let's dive into my thoughts, my predictions in terms of Money in the Bank. And really, this shouldn't take too long. I mean, there's 4 matches, and let's get into it. I like 4 matches. 4 matches is tolerable. I mean, I got to say, I'm a 4-match guy. This is nice. Now, there'll be a lot of filler in between, a lot of promotion, a lot of ads and all that, but it's still 4 matches. That usually gives you time to breathe. And the men's and women's Money in the Bank ladder matches, I fully expect to be like 30 minutes long. I mean, they'll take forever, but it's still going to be fun. So let's get into it. Let's start with the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Lyra versus Becky. The stipulation being Lyra wins, Becky can no longer challenge for the championship. If Becky wins, then Lyra just simply has to hold her hand up. So, given that, it does seem like Becky Lynch is going to win this, and she should. I know the last time we said this, that she should win and probably will, is because if she doesn't, where does she go from here? Well, she found a path back here, and she continued to do a nice job as a heel, working with Lyra. Lyra's continuing to develop, especially on the microphone. I fully expect Becky Lynch here to win. Fairly high confidence. I'd give myself a 7 out of 10 confidence on this one, although still not high on the confidence list, but relatively high. Lyra will drop the belt here, and that's okay. We need Lyra to go back into chase mode. Becky winning the Intercontinental Championship. She's never won that before because, well, it didn't exist when she was going full-time before. So this is going to be a fun match. I expect this to be even better than the last one. Hopefully 12, 15 minutes, and Becky Lynch will win by hook or crook. I expect by crook. All right. Let's talk the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. All right, let's talk about it. We've got Stephanie McCour, Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Naomi. We've got, of course, Mommy. And we also have Julia. Now, there is a chance that there's a dark horse that wins this. Stephanie McCour, I think, is a dark horse pick. Alexa Bliss is a dark horse pick. So with that being said, it really leaves you with 3 options. Right? I mean, in all honesty. I mean, Rhea Ripley, Naomi, and probably Alexa Bliss. I don't think Stephanie McCour is ready for that yet. I know that they like to build stars, but if they want to have her first major championship run on the main roster mean something, I don't think I'm going to want her to win in a way that allows her to be diminished by saying, hey, she only won because the champion was at their weakest moment, you know? So you want somebody, I think, who's a little bit more established. I think Naomi would be perfect. Who would I have win this? Naomi. I wouldn't even think twice. For me, I want Naomi to win because of the momentum of her character, of what she has brought back to her character, brought back to the television product, working with Jade, right? And eventually she's going to be working with Bianca. I don't think she would, but that's who I would want to win, would be Naomi. This is a heel this is definitely a heel prize to be won. I would say Roxanne is a heel in the Judgment Day, and it would make sense that she could win too, but there's a lot of baby faces in this group. I mean, Stephanie, we've got Alexa, we've got Rhea. I honestly, I'm going to go... this is tough. I'm going to go with a dark horse here. I'm going to go with a dark horse pick, Alexa Bliss. I'm going to go with Alexa Bliss winning the champion or winning the Money in the Bank. I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to try to be the smart guy in the room and say that Alexa Bliss wins the Money in the Bank. Again, I'm fully admitting I'm probably wrong. I'm just trying to be the smart guy. All right. So then we've got the men's Money in the Bank ladder match with Solo Sikoa, LA Knight, Seth Rollins, Penta, Andrade, and El Grande Americano. There's really only one guy here. There's two. That's it. This one is much more locked down outside of a potential crazy scenario where someone gets quote unquote injured as a spot to be filled with like Logan Paul. And I continue to say that's a possibility. Very outside chance, but that is a possibility where one of these guys, El Grande, Andrade especially, who's just really done nothing since his return, maybe Andrade gets quote-unquote injured as part of the story, and then we have Logan Paul take his place. It's possible. It's possible. Unlikely, especially if this is before the tag team match with John Cena and Logan Paul, but it's in the realm of possibility. However, if that doesn't happen and we're just looking at these 6 guys and no swap outs, then it's either LA Knight or Seth Rollins. That's it. Solo Sikoa, no one really cares about much anymore. I mean, I'm sorry. He has really lost a lot of steam, especially since he's brought in Mateo and he's brought in, of course, the werewolf. And I don't think there's really much to be said for Solo winning it. No one is really behind Solo becoming champion right now. Again, the momentum is not on his side. LA Knight, this is his 3rd or 4th time in a Money in the Bank ladder match. He is a fan favorite. I think the fans will be very much behind LA Knight here to win. I'm going to go with the boring choice of Seth Rollins winning. I think he makes the most sense. He's got a new group. He's trying to make new stars with both Bronson Reed and, of course, Braun Breaker. So you're going to have a really good reason to give this to Seth. He's also a heel. Everything lines up for him to win. I know that a lot of times when everyone's convinced that there is one guy or one girl to win, the WWE sometimes will swerve. So that could be the case here because it's so overwhelming that it should be Seth, that it should put up a red flag for you. Not to change your pick, but just be cautious that when something is this clear, a lot of times the company will swerve. So we'll see if that happens because this is just overwhelming Seth Rollins. It screams Seth Rollins to a point where, I mean, I can't remember a Money in the Bank ladder match this clear cut. Again, LA Knight is a significant threat, but I don't think enough of a case can be made for LA Knight to supersede Seth Rollins as becoming Mr. Money in the Bank. Plus, LA Knight has set his sights on the United States Championship, and I don't think that is going to change. They kind of gave you a path for LA Knight chasing the United States Championship last week, and it doesn't seem to make sense that they would change course now. I mean, they said, hey, here's what he's going to do, and that's where LA Knight's lived for like a few years now is the United States Championship, the United States Championship, the United States Championship, and that's all nice and well, but wouldn't it be nice to see LA Knight in the top spot once in a while? I mean, just challenging for it. I know he did Roman Reigns once, but anyway, it's Seth Rollins. I mean, I'd give a 9 out of 10 confidence on that. Maybe even 9.5. Just because no one else makes sense. Absolutely no one else makes sense. Now, that said, this should be a hell of a match. I feel like every time I say this about the men's and women's Money in the Bank ladder matches every year, these men and women are going to wake up the next morning and be like, oh my God, was I in a car accident? Am I dead? Right? Am I in purgatory? The bodies are going to be broken, hopefully in no serious way, but bruises and soreness are going to be abound. And I have nothing but respect for these guys and gals, especially during this match, which is just brutal. So I expect a hell of a match, especially with Penta and Andrade and El Grande Americano, who are just incredible performers in terms of just in the ring, what they can do, high flying, luchador style. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. So LA Knight will have his moment. But I think Seth Rollins ultimately wins, and that's probably because of Braun Breaker coming in at to spear LA Knight, or Bronson Reed coming into Tsunami LA Knight, or Tsunami Penta, or just everybody laying out the field, allowing Seth Rollins to just walk up and grab the briefcase. He makes the most sense by a long shot. Again, I want LA Knight, but I think Seth Rollins is the guy to win this based on the current storyline. I know Roman Reigns could come in here. He could, but from all intents and purposes, it seems like Roman Reigns and WWE right now, there's some friction. If the contract negotiations are true, or rather the restructuring of his contract is true. Also, Roman Reigns, before that news even broke, is reportedly off TV for a while. Now, that could be a red herring. Of course, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. Now, those reports could be to try to get us off the trail that Roman Reigns could come in here and screw Seth Rollins, saying that, we put out a fake report that he's not going to be on TV for a while. See, you got to see how these gets all twisted, and you go down rabbit holes of what could be true and what's being purposely put out there to get the fans off the scent. We don't know. But what makes the most sense is Seth Rollins winning because of Bronson Reed and of course, Braun Breaker. Spear, Tsunami, Spear, Tsunami, Spear, Tsunami, Stomp. Seth Rollins climbs, wins. All right, now for the main event, which I believe is the main event. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus Logan Paul and John Cena. Now, as we heard earlier in the show with the mailbag, the placement of this match is interesting because if it's after the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, that would lead you to believe that the winner could be cashing in after this match. So if Seth Rollins wins, he could easily cash in on Jey Uso here, and or John Cena, but probably because John Cena is a heel, you're not going to have Seth cash in on a heel. You'd have Seth cash in on Jey Uso winning the world championship. That makes the most sense to me if they're going to do it. And to be honest with you, Jey Uso, I have come on here week after week, and I've said that Jey, no disrespect to him, I don't dislike his character, but he just isn't, to me, feel like he doesn't feel like he should at this point for a world champion. But WWE very rarely will change course this close to a WrestleMania decision like this. You have Jey win the Rumble. You have Jey win against Gunther, a guy that they've protected for the most part. And you have him win in the way he did against Gunther at WrestleMania, a big stage, tapping out Gunther, and then he drops it to Seth Rollins. WWE, I don't think, would want to admit that yet, that they kind of, maybe didn't make the right decision with Jey. And the crowd still seems to support him, and I get it. I don't dislike Jey. I don't have any, obviously, personal issue with him. Really just, I don't feel his character on a way that a lot of people do, and that's okay. But if Seth is going to cash in, it wouldn't be the worst idea to have him cash in here and shock the world. I just don't think they'll do it because of how long WrestleMania decisions usually stand. It's usually minimum to SummerSlam, minimum. If you guys hear noise in the background, well, I have kids in the background, but I also got a thunderstorm going on, so I'm trying to hear that. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. So Cody Rhodes, and Jey Uso versus John Cena and Logan Paul. Who wins? Man, does it even matter? I mean, I'm sorry, because not that this match isn't going to be good, but there's nothing on the line here. It's pride. It's about furthering a certain story between John and Cody Rhodes that could lead to a rematch at Night of Champions or at SummerSlam. Could The Rock be here? I'm not even going to entertain it. No, he won't. But this is, I think, a stepping stone to John Cena's next title defense against Cody Rhodes. That's where Cody Rhodes gets his next opportunity to redeem himself from WrestleMania. I expect Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes to win by pinning Logan Paul. I expect a crossroads on Logan Paul after... Oh, that was a loud one. It was like right outside my window. So Cody Rhodes probably hits crossroads. Uso splash, 1, 2, 3. John Cena doesn't get pinned. That protects him. And they go off to victory. That way, John Cena, or rather Cody Rhodes, can claim that, he just beat John Cena's team, or he beat John, he has a victory over John Cena, and therefore he should be the one to get an opportunity at John Cena's championship. So could we see a Seth Rollins cash in? Yes, we could. Could we see a Roman Reigns appearance? We could, but less likely. And then, of course, The Rock is like a 0% chance. So that's how I think it's going to go. To recap, Jey and Cody Rhodes win. Seth Rollins wins the Money in the Bank and for the men. Alexa Bliss wins the Money in the Bank for the women. And then Becky Lynch wins the Intercontinental Championship from Lyra Valkyria. Again, could have a return of Roman Reigns, but outside of that, I don't expect any massive returns or swerves. But wouldn't that be the time to do it? Yeah, because Money in the Bank's a big PLE. As I've said, it's the biggest B-level pay-per-view or PLE that the WWE produces every year. So, all right, well, I'm going to get off this before I get electrocuted or the power goes out. So thank you, everybody, for listening. I appreciate it. If you want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE Podcast is the place to go, or on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. And check out our other show that we do. Again, disclaimer, it's not wrestling. It's politics and culture, so... It is a very divisive topic, so be forewarned if you are sensitive to those topics as far as, which side you land on. It could be one that you love or hate. So just letting you know, obviously, if you're a wrestling fan and only want wrestling, come here. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we will talk next time. I'll be back on maybe Saturday night. If things go crazy Saturday night, I may do a review Saturday night, but if not, Sunday will be the day. So everyone take care, and we'll talk next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.